Now, the final event of today is the second syndicate assignment for this workshop. Now, I'm going to post just now on the forum the fact sheet. You'll remember in the brain injury workshop, we had a fact sheet about Mr. Second, and we had one about misfortune, etc. Now, this is a similar fact sheet. The only thing we've decided to be easy on you, this is an orthopedic case, it's not a brain injury case. Okay? It's not that easy, but it is, at least it's concrete to a large extent. Okay, but this is a fact sheet about a person, and it contains everything that would be in an orthopedic surgeon's report, except just there are no opinions. So what the hospital records say, what the patient reports, the orthopedic surgeon asked various questions, what they reported, what they filled in on a questionnaire, and the orthopedic surgeon's examination findings, and the orthopedic surgeon's observation on x-rays. So it contains all the facts to which the orthopedic surgeon would refer when he or she writes their medico-legal report, and which also means when they write their RAF4 report. Okay? Now, on the basis of those facts, you are required to write an RAF4 report. Okay? Even though the law says you're not entitled to write one, for this workshop, you've got to write one. Okay? But also, please bear in mind that we are not teaching WPI. So in the RAF4 report you write for this workshop, you must fill in the fields on the form as Dr. Williams described in his lecture this morning, and you must do a narrative test report. Okay? So the document that you must use to do the assignment is the Microsoft Word template for an RAF4 report that Dr. Williams made available. It is on the forum. If anybody has difficulty getting it, ask Shelley, but it is on the forum, and it is the RAF4 report template. Now, that is an extremely useful template, because you'll see certain things, there's a question, and then there's just 2 lines. But you can write 20 lines. It will just keep on giving you new lines as you fill in. So you can fill in as much as you like. Okay? So you must fill in the normal data like the patient's name, the date of the accident, the date of the assessment. All of that you'll find in the fact sheet. You must put your name on page 1 where it appears, where there's a thing requesting non-serious injuries. If you find in the fact sheet injuries that are not serious, you must write them there. On the second page, where it says the nature of the accident, like did the car roll, was the person a passenger, was the person a driver, whatever, you fill in those details, not from your own imagination, but as you find them in Dr. Williams' fact sheet. He is the author, by the way, of that fact sheet. And you saw from the quality of his lecture today, it's going to be a very good and clear fact sheet that you will find everything you need. Now, there's just a tip that I want to give you. You will recall Dr. Williams said correctly that this form is a little bit irrational, because they ask you to make a diagnosis before you document your clinical examination findings. So the sequence of points on this form is a bit back to front. But this is now how the form is. Now remember, in the narrative test, there's injury diagnosis, outcome diagnosis are the first 2 points. Now, those 2 points of the narrative test, you can do on this form under point 4.4 diagnosis. So you can write there in capital letters, injury diagnosis underlined. And then you write as many lines as you like for injury diagnosis. Then you write new paragraph, outcome diagnosis, as many lines as you like. So you can specify separately the injury diagnosis and the outcome diagnosis on the form under point 4.4 where it says diagnosis. Okay? Then the next 2 points of the narrative test are going to be the environmental external circumstances and the personal or individual circumstances. Now, if you look at this form, it calls for circumstances, but it calls for them in a different way. So on this form, point 4.8 calls for social and personal history. Do you understand that that is part of circumstances? And the next point on the next page, 3.4.9, educational and occupational history. All right? So there are two ways you can do it. Bearing in mind you must do pre-accident circumstances and current circumstances, which you'll find in the fact sheet. So if you want to break it up to pre-accident social and personal circumstances and post-accident social and personal circumstances, which you can put there on this form, and then in 4.9, educational and occupational history before the accident and current, you can do it that way. Alternatively, at those points, you can just say, refer to attached narrative test report. And then at the end of this report, you can attach another page on which you write whichever elements of the narrative test you don't find a spot in this report to write it. So if it was me, I would do the injury and outcome diagnosis on the form. Where it comes to the medical history and the social and personal history, I'll say refer to attached narrative test report, and there I will say external environmental contextual circumstances before the accident, and now unchanged, or if they are changed according to that, they are changed, and then my opinion as to whether it's due to the injuries. And the next point will be on the narrative test point number 4, in other words, personal or individual circumstances, how they were before the accident and how they are now. And again, all of that for this patient is to be found on that. Then, on the form, there's has the patient reached MMI? We've had a lot of discussion today about MMI. You must consider whether the patient has. If it has, you say yes. If you believe for any reason that MMI has not been reached, then you must write there why you believe it hasn't been reached, which also means you must write what must still be done and when do you think it might be reached. But if you think it is reached, it's simple, you just write yes. Okay? Details about apportionment. If you find in the fact sheet that there's evidence of another condition that is unrelated to the accident that is contributing to the impairment, you must explain it in the apportionment. If you find there's nothing, you just say not applicable, meaning that everything is related to the accident. Now, on this form, in paragraph 4.12, where it refers to the impairment rating and annexes A, B, and C, you are not going to do that. So you're just going to cross that out. Or you can say not applicable, or you can say defer to relevant expert. Which one? Okay. If you are doing it in reality, and you're not going to do it, then you have to say defer to other expert. Now, what I'm saying, this is an artificial situation in this workshop. So if you say it's not applicable because the rules of this workshop is we're not allowed to use WPI, either would be acceptable. But it may be better for you to just write defer to appropriate expert. If you are sure that the appropriate expert is an orthopedic surgeon, you can say defer to orthopedic surgeon. If you are unsure whether there also might be the need for deferral to a psychiatrist or to a plastic surgeon or whatever, you can say that if you have an opinion, but if you don't have an opinion, you can just take the default position, defer to appropriate experts or relevant experts. Is everybody happy with that? Okay. Exceptions, we've heard. Now, you will write in your narrative test the first all 6 points, and your final conclusion will be, in my view, the injuries are serious or they're not serious. And if you find that they are serious, you must say why. And you must say for the above reasons, they are serious because they have resulted in permanent, life-changing sequelae, which are significant for these reasons. So your reasoning process in applying that criterion of serious injury must be there. Then, just because the form calls for it, you can make an election. Am I going to find serious on paragraph 5.1 or 5.2 or 5.3 or 5.4? Now, you already know what that's going to be. If it's not serious, it's nothing. If it is serious, because it's an orthopedic case, it's going to be paragraph 5.1, isn't it? Okay, but for completing the form, you must put that. All right. So everybody who gets this second assignment right will have proven that they are competent to write an RAF4 report, isn't it? So when you get a certificate of competence in writing an RAF4 report, it will be valid. Thank you very much.